Summer's in full swing out here in California, so we're going to have a special Cali edition with some special guests and much more on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Kyle Carr. I'm a lifelong Anaheim Ducks fan. I've spent multiple years covering collegiate sports, including college hockey. But today, as always on Locked On, we're talking about the Anaheim Ducks. And today I am joined by another member of the Locked On NHL family. And they have the unfortunate job of covering that team a wee bit north of us, the only California team without a Stanley Cup. That's right, the San Jose Sharks. Welcome, JD Young from Locked On San Jose Sharks. How are you, JD?
Doing well. I gotta say, your intro music, it's giving, as the kids say, Inspector Gadget vibes. I think I don't know why. But no. Other than that, other than the rubbing in 35 years now of just a lot of heartache, doing fine.
Well, my first pro NHL game that I went to was at the Cow Palace, so there was hope then. There's still hope today.
The hope's coming, baby. The hope is coming. Yeah,
absolutely. And of course, thank you for joining me. And today I really want to get into some bold predictions, talk about the team to be in the Pacific. But first, I got to ask you, since we just picked him up, what do you have to tell Ducks fans about Mikael Granlund and how he's going to bring, or what he's going to bring to this Anaheim team?
Granlund is a huge, I think, piece, especially for young players. Just the professionalism and the way he works and kind of the way he teaches young players. He's going to be a big asset, especially for a guy like Leo Carlsson, who's a young Swedish forward kind of making his way through the NHL. He's talking with William Eklund, a young Swedish forward making his way through the NHL. Granlund was a huge impact to kind of William Eklund in the first couple seasons of his career, and talks just he's talked a lot about how big of an impact Granlund has made on him. But I think for Granlund and kind of the X's and O's of it, I think he's going to be a really solid kind of middle six center for you who can play in every situation. I don't expect him to play, hoping he doesn't have to play the minutes that he played for San Jose, where he was playing like 20 minutes a night for the Sharks, especially the 23-24 season, because they literally had nobody else out there. But I think for a guy you can play on the power play, you can play on the penalty kill. He's good in all zones. I think he's just a really solid piece who's going to have some clutch moments here and there and going to be a really nice fit in the locker room. And I think, are you overpaying him a little bit by $7 million? Yeah. But just like the Sharks here, where the Ducks have all the cap space in the world, the money really doesn't matter at this point. I think he'll provide a lot of good on and off the ice. He's not just one of those guys who's, he's great in the room, but he's also really impactful on the ice too. And I think he's going to be a really nice piece for you guys as you kind of try to make that next step here and push for a playoff spot here. And I think Granlund, who's played in a lot of big games, and you saw what he did for Dallas in the playoffs this year, and I think he's going to kind of fit in and knows what his job is to help the younger players learn those winning habits, and B, just be an impactful player on the ice as well.
Do you think the Anaheim would be smart to try to play him center, or do you think he'll find himself on the wing? It seems, at least from when he first came over, most of us were slotting him as a winger, but he does have that center potential.
Yeah, he played center for the Sharks. He did a great job with it there, and I think that gives you just some flexibility, right? Because we know not every player is going to play 82 games this season, as much as we'd like to kind of picture that. It's just nice to have some flexibility where if he does start on the wing and then, somebody goes down or somebody gets a little beat up or whatever, he can slot in and it's no problem for him to play center as well. I know he was playing wing for Dallas this year, and he did a solid job there. Having a guy like that where he can kind of play all over, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for him. So yeah, if he plays wing, like he'll do fine there. But if you need him to play center for you, it's not like it's gonna be a huge drop off for you.
Well, it's exciting. Both of our teams kind of have been on this down slump. We were talking about it offline, that it's only a year separated from being in the playoffs versus out of the playoffs. And we've kind of been on this run. Both of us have won a playoff series more recently than the Kings.
Take that.
Yeah, Kings, you nerds. But with that, like, how are you feeling about San Jose and the steps that they've been taking, and how has the offseason been working out for you?
I think for San Jose, yes, they were a team that, especially kind of after that 2018-19 season where they lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Blues. Previous GM Doug Wilson was very much like, I believe in the bones of this team. I think we can kind of reload a little bit, and kind of delayed the inevitable. Then as soon as Mike Greer got here, he was like, yeah, we're burning this whole thing down and starting over from scratch, and which turned out to be the right move, right? And I think the Sharks have gone out of their way to acquire very high-end talent. You look at a guy like Macklin, Celebrini, Will Smith, Michael Misa in this year's draft. You have Sam Dickinson coming. Like, the prospect pool is the best in the NHL, and is now just starting to see. I will gladly take you on that one. Is starting to see this thing start to come together here as the prospects are starting to kind of make their impact, right? And you saw what Celebrini did last year as an 18-year-old in the NHL, and it's arguably one of the top centers in the NHL, or is going to be among one of those top centers in the NHL at a young age. And you saw Will Smith make huge jumps in the last half of the season, and you have Askarov coming this year, and there's just a lot to be excited about. And I know Sharks fans we're starting to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel here, and start to hopefully see more competitive hockey, and start sniffing the playoffs here the next couple of years.
I mean, are you a little concerned that Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini are wanted for capital murder after they took Starkey out with that soccer ball?
We all know sometimes you got to bend the rules for stars. It's just how it works. As somebody who's, as you said, you've covered collegiate sports. Sometimes you got to bend the rules for the stars a little bit. So I think, a Sharky, we know Sharky, known antagonist. I love Sharky to death, but it's not like his hands aren't clean either. So.
Oh, absolutely not. Wild Wing was hanging out at Warp Tour, so I think we've got probably the two best mascots in the league, just partying out there. But with those two, are they the ones the Ducks need to worry about the most when it comes to on ice? Is it Macklin and Will, or is there someone else that the Ducks need to really lock down this season?
Those are going to be your two big play drivers. You also have William Eklund, who was the 7th overall pick in the 2021 draft, who's going to continue to make strides, and I think should be, kind of float around that 70-point mark this season. And then, of course, the veteran Tyler Toffoli, who's a walking 30 goals everywhere he goes, right? The man just scores 30 goals, and he was a massive asset to the Sharks last year, especially for guys like Macklin and Will, and kind of being a mentor, kind of that fun uncle for both those guys. And I think the offense this year, I do expect it to make some strides. We'll see about the defense, which they basically retooled, adding 3 new pieces on the blue line. But I think among the forwards, though, that's the Sharks engine is Celebrini and Smith, and potentially Michael Misa if he makes the NHL coming straight from the OHL here. But it's Smith and Celebrini, and those are definitely the engines of the San Jose Sharks offense.
It's definitely exciting to watch this younger crowd, like seeing for us with Leo Carlsson, and we've got Cutter Gauthier that's been stepping up, Jackson Lacombe. It just seems like there's a lot of new guys that are NCAA alum that have been really killing it. Is it kind of the trend, do you think, now, like with this new the new CBA kind of thing, with the juniors allowed to go to NCAA, that's going to change kind of the entire landscape of prospects and how these kids come up in the leagues?
I think it gives kids more options to get better, right? Because you look at a lot of players, and like for San Jose, like Quint Musty last year, and then Sam Dickinson this year, and then you look at the Ducks have some players too where they're just like they're clearly too good for the OHL, right? It's they're just beating up on 16 and 17-year-old kids. But now going to college for a year or two, I think it gives them that almost like that finishing school as they're, like you play in the OHL, you play in the WHL, where it's a much more of a grind, right? You're playing 68, 72 game schedules. It's a much more fast paced type of game, and you kind of get used to that part of the NHL. But then you go to college where you're playing against older kids, you're playing a little bit more structured hockey. And I think it's just a nice way to kind of blend for these. And you don't get these kids, like I said, like Musty or Sam Dickinson this year, who's going to be like, you can either go to the NHL or you have to go back and beat up on these kids, and you're just kind of wasting a year. So, I do think it's going to be really a bigger feature. I think that's why you're not seeing as many young players sign their ELC now, because it gives them that option to, hey, like, let's kind of see how you're after this year, and if you want to go play college get yourself ready before you have to kind of make that jump to the NHL, especially for some of these. But yeah, I think it's better. I know like there's a lot of people worried that like young stars leaving the CHL and stuff, and you look at like a Gab McKenna who's going to Penn State this year in his draft season, but like the CHL is always going to pump out kids. Like there's always going to be good kids playing in the CHL, and I think just looking at the development of these kids and to be the best players that they can be, I think this just gives kids more options, and especially those 20-year-old kids who kind of age out of the CHL. Okay, now I can go play the NCAA and kind of continue to hone my game. And then because maybe I'm not ready for the AHL. And I think it just gives more kids more options to continue to play. So,
yeah, my hope is that with the influx of kids, that'll create more D1 teams as well, and schools will be more intrigued and everything like that.
Yes,
but
we need
do
some
have
D1
to
teams on the West Coast here. Denver cannot be like the end of the end of the world right there when it comes to it. Yes,
I know. With UNLV kind of making a push, we've got USC down here, UCLA. I went to Chapman. We had a team that played against USC, UNLV, all those teams, and they're trying to bring it back. But there's plenty of talent out here in California, and just even watching Skaha with the AAA and AA, all these kids, they're so talented, but they have to go elsewhere. There's nothing here for them. But we'll get into the Pacific and the locals and everything and some other prospects right after this little break. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last minute deals. You know there's going to be some T Swift concerts now that she has hinted towards her new album. So make sure you check out Game Time to get the best prices there. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So as we were continuing our conversation here kind of about the prospects in the NCAA, we on the Ducks side, we had our Roger McQueen, our our first round pick. He has committed to become a Providence Friar. Correct me, did Misa commit to a college, or where's that going with him?
Misa is a wait and see candidate.
Okay.
And I honestly think Misa just sticks around the NHL. And I think I think he's as clean as a prospect as you could want. just the way he plays in all three zones. And yes, there's going to be like this. I don't expect like a Macklin Celebrini 2.0 type of thing where he just comes in and he's just like legitimately one of the best players on the team already. But you saw the way the Sharks handled Will Smith, and the same thing way the Ducks handled Leo Carlsson, right? Where it was, we're going to be really slow, keep the training wheels on. Like, you're not going to get back to backs. We're going to have the development days. I know a lot of Sharks fans were like, what are we doing with Will Smith? And then the second half of the season, like, Will Smith put up 30 points in 34 games at the end of the season. Like, he was great. And I think Misa, they probably do the same thing because they have a like, this works, right? And I think, yes, Will Smith was a year older. It was his D+2 season. I think though, for Misa, like, just the way he plays, he's got that kind of like grit and physicality for him, and the details in his defensive zone are already really good for an 18-year-old kid. Like, I think they find a way to make it work. I wouldn't be surprised if if he plays the Sharks this whole season. I think that's kind of the plan. They haven't said anything yet, but that's kind of my assumption. I think you'd have to have like a horrible training camp for him to go back to Saginaw this year. So
yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling with Beckett Seneca for the Ducks. Granted,
another guy who could have
2024
maybe used the year in college, just like if he didn't sign his ELC, same situation of like, yep, you're stuck.
Well, and then he got stuck in that weird, like, now they're making that policy of allowing a kid under 20, like, they can pick a prospect to go up. He would have been the perfect candidate because he's just a little too good for the OHL, but not, he's kind of on the cusp there to be NHL ready. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes with that. And I really am looking forward to the prospect little tournament that's coming up. It's being hosted here in Irvine this year. So
yes,
and luckily for me, the game I get to go to is the Sharks and Ducks prospect game. So that'll be pretty fun to see Misa hopefully out there, and Seneca I think will be in there. And I don't know, because Roger McQueen I think committed. I don't know. I don't think they're not allowed to go to training camp, right, for NCAA.
It's a little hit or miss. Yeah, they usually don't have those kids in NCAA. Like the NCAA kids. So, and like you won't maybe see like some of the Euro kids too, because like their season is already basically starting over in Sweden and stuff like that. So yeah, but like a lot of the like North American, especially the CHL type of kids, you definitely see them, or your AHL kids. Like you'll see some of those guys around too. So yeah.
And it's literally cheaper than doing a stick time, so it'll be fun to go watch. But looking at the Pacific now, like, we know where the Sharks and Ducks have been in the tail end of things going on right now. Who do you think is the team to beat for both of these teams? Because for me, I think the top three are pretty settled with Edmonton, Vegas, and probably LA, as much as I don't like the moves that they made and I don't want them to succeed ever. But who do you think is going to be the team kind of challenging the Ducks for that fourth place and the Sharks?
Well, I mean, I don't expect the Sharks. I think my hope for the Sharks this year is they make that kind of Ducks type jump that we saw last year from Anaheim, where like you're just not one of the worst teams in the NHL. You're kind of like a tier above. That's kind of my hope for San Jose this year. But I mean, you look at like, after those three teams, and even if you want to include LA in here, but like just this kind of really murkiness of the middle, right, where it's like, who knows with the Canucks, like that team can never figure it itself. Like you can tell me that team wins the Pacific, or you tell me that team finishes like sixth, and I'd be like, yeah, I can see it, for that team. And like you look at like Calgary, like they rode Dustin Wolf last year, but like their offense couldn't respond. Like, is that a way to live year to year of like, just we have to win every game 2-1 and our goaltender is just the best player on the ice every night? I don't know if that continually carries over. So you could definitely see them, and there's talk of, Rasmus Anderson might get traded. Like they could be a team that I think maybe takes a step back. The Kraken are the most like 80-point team that there ever was, of just like, they just do not excite me at all. I think I was joking with our Locked On Wild host, Seth, when we were doing Tuesday's Locked On NHL podcast, of like, that team is just all third liners. The entire team is just made up of third liners, except for like Matty Beniers. Like the entire team is third liners. And, it's like that. And then you have the Ducks, like, this definitely, like, if everything kind of breaks right for Anaheim, you could see them potentially pushing for a wild card spot because the Pacific is so weird this season, right? You
Yeah.
have Edmonton and Vegas, who you feel like are the cream of the crop, and then everybody else is kind of in the mushy middle there, with the exception of San Jose, who should start making strides this year. But yeah, yeah, the whole Pacific, man, like it's like what, like a boggle thing. Just shake it up and see how they come out, and you wouldn't be surprised. Like if like in any of the order, really, especially 3 through 7, I would say.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of it's been a really weird pot because I do look at it and it's like Calgary kind of I don't really they're not
I don't trust
someone that
them.
pops up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it's just like there used to be sort of a little battle there between Ducks and Calgary, and it's like, I'm like, I don't even know who they are anymore. What's their identity? What do they represent? Vancouver can be so up and down. I thought they were going to be great, and then they're not. And yeah, we're in such a very weird division. And then you look at the Central, considering those are kind of the guys we got to battle out for the wild card. If
yeah.
the God looks down on us and is like, hey, you guys get to battle for the wild card this year. They're kind of a weird flux too. I'm not really seeing a team that's sticking out other than the Avalanche and the Jets. Like Nashville was such a poop shoot last year, and
Yep.
you've got the Wild. They're kind of on this
I think
flux
the
as well.
Wild, like, I think if you look at the Wild before the Kaprizov injury, like that team was like legitimately good, and getting Kaprizov back and healthy like changes that team drastically. So
Mhm.
I think if Kaprizov is back to being Kaprizov, and Kaprizov was like the MVP candidate before he got hurt last year, I think the Wild are going to be really good this year if he's healthy and they figure out what they're doing with Rossi there. But like the Blues are going to be in the mix for it again. I don't know, like that team is a weird team as well. I mean Dallas, I think Dallas is going to be good again, even if they lose pieces. They still have too much star power, I think. And Ottinger, like he'll be fine. And like the Jets, they have enough guys and stuff. But yeah, I think those are like the teams you're going to have to fight for a wild card spot. And maybe you get lucky because you're beating up on the Pacific here, we can kind of bank some points that'll help you. And like the Central, where I think is going to be more of a dogfight, night in, night out type of thing. So that's
Yeah.
kind of your path to glory if you're a Ducks fan. I think is that you're kind of beating up on the Pacific, and the Central just takes each other out. So
That's the hope over here, Whatever
that's the
whatever
hope.
helps pave the path of gold, we're looking for it. And speaking of paving paths of gold, we've got some pretty interesting events coming up. We got the Olympics, we've got the next season, we've got changes coming, and we're going to get into some bold predictions right after this. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. Is it finally time for Jake Allen and the Buffalo Bills to go all the way and reign supreme? Go place your bets now on the FanDuel Day. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. So we're back. You heard my bold prediction with my ad read right there, which Josh Allen and the good old Buffalo Bills. Buffalo something needs to happen one of these days. But looking at the events coming up, obviously we got the Olympics coming up. Who do you think is taking away the Olympic gold this year?
I mean, it's either USA or Canada, right? It's just who you're like. I
You would
mean, it's
think
hard
the
not to
Olympics can be
pick
weird.
Canada. I know it's hard not to pick Canada though. Like it's like the default. You just pick Canada. It's definitely the safe pick there. But I do want to see how Matthew Tkachuk rebounds from his injury, because we know we're not getting Kachuk back until Christmas time, most likely, and see how he is coming back from his groin injury, and if he's kind of back to being 100% for the Olympics, because a healthy Matthew Kachuk makes a big difference there. But it's hard not to pick Macklin, Celebrini, and Team Canada.
I know. The Canadians just look so clean, and that's roster's going to be stacked, either way. But America is making a good push, and I think this is the year. If you're going to put money on USA, I feel like this is a time to do it.
Yeah,
because you'll probably come out pretty good on that paycheck, especially on FanDuel. But I want to go with USA just because I got that pride. The veteran in me.
yes,
Gotta stick with the red, white, and blue. But looking into for us, or for your team specifically, where did the Sharks end up this season in the Pacific, and do they make the playoffs?
One, they don't make the playoffs.
Okay.
Like, it's too soon. Even like the road to the playoffs for the Sharks would be looking at like what the Flames did last year, right? Where Dustin Wolf basically almost drags them to the playoffs. Now, Askarov would have to kind of come in and do the same thing, right? You have to hope Askarov just comes in and he's a top 10 goalie from day one, which there's a reasonable path there, but like realistically, like if Askarov is a average goaltender, like that's gonna be a huge boost for San Jose this year, especially compared to what they've seen in net other than Mackenzie Blackwood the past couple seasons. Like, it has been a not great, Bob. It's not very good in net. So that's the hope, right? And then Celebrini is like a point per game player. Will Smith continues his ascension. Like, that's kind of the hope, and they figure out something on the blue line here. Some of the veterans that they signed are make instant impact. And maybe a guy like John Klingberg kind of refines his glory from the Dallas days. Now he's hopefully fully healthy, but like, it's too soon for San Jose. And I don't think Mike Greer, like, he wants to see some progress, but like, I think being a playoff team this year is too much to ask right away. So I see this team that's had 50 points last year. If I had to put the over under, I would put it at like 67. I think is the points for the Sharks, which would be, I think, a big jump for them. And they lost a lot of games last year by 1 goal, or they were leading late in the third and the defense got leaky, or Georgiev glitz in a soft one type of thing. And I think Askarov is going to hopefully help to kind of fix a lot of that, and just natural growth from your young players. So that's where I'm at with it. How about I'm going to set the over under at we'll say 5th place in the Pacific for the Ducks. Are you taking over or under? Are you going to push?
I am going with over. I feel like they're going to take one of the wild card spots and kind of come in that 4th place. I don't think they're going to have success in the playoffs. A lot of kind of the same thing where a lot of the losses were more 1-point games. They were in it until they weren't. There was I think the one team they struggled with was the Blues last year, which I really hope they get that under control this year. I don't know why the Blues had our number, but it was like embarrassment city every time we played St. Louis last year. And then a big one I'm looking forward to is playing the Flyers, the Zegras redemption, and then of course we play Gibson on Halloween, which I think is ironic. Like, he's going to be terrifying in his Red Wings costume. Yes. But it's kind of the same thing, and these younger guys are going to have to step in. The only worry is that now the league is on notice with a lot of these younger guys, and they're going to play a different style against them. They're going to bring a lot more heat. They're going to not give them the space as much as they did as rookies, because now they know they got to play hard against them. And I do think this coaching staff, though, that the Ducks have brought in is going to make a huge difference, more so than the roster itself, because there have been changes, but not necessarily a lot of changes with the roster, especially on the back end. The D is basically the same. They got Mikael Granlund, and they've got Chris Kreider coming in for forward. So some veteran presence as well, little older roster, but there's also these young guys battling for that 3rd and 4th line. So it'll be a good push, and that's where I think that 4th place and the wild card spot, but then just getting smoked in that first round. That's my crazy
Yeah,
bold
your
prediction.
reward is like, oh, cool, I get to play like Colorado or Vegas, most likely in the first round of the playoffs.
Exactly.
And
Like
just
we get to just have a
yeah.
nightmare.
I did you bring up the coaching staff, right? We know all the baggage, as we'll just call it baggage, with Joe Quenneville coming in here, right? And where are kind of the vibes and like with Anaheim, right? And we know the Sharks bad team, but like great vibes, right? You see like Macklin, you see like you even compared to Chicago, right? Where it feels like Bedard is just like it looks like he's going through it, right? Every day you see him. And like, yes, again, the Sharks aren't winning a lot of games, but it just feels like a better process. But where are the vibes kind of with the Ducks right now, where it's like you feel like you're starting to kind of push, not all in, but starting to make that push. You a little bit of questionable we'll see decision with bringing in Quenneville. Like you added some more veterans. Like what are the vibes with the team right now?
Honestly, kind of right there in the middle. It felt like it was going really well, especially when you had a guy like Zegras, just because of the attitude and the like looseness he brings. Like he's still professional, but he brings just like a
Yeah.
happy vibe to the locker room. But it does seem like the players overall are clicking really well. Like I was watching the shoulder check highlights and stuff, the little fundraiser that they did. It was all the Ducks guys were all hanging out together. Like they were just clicking the whole time. You can kind of just tell by the way they talk about each other and the fact that Kreider came over because of how the guys were talking about the room and being excited that Quenneville's the coach. I think there is a good vibe there amongst the fans. I mean, Dostal, he's such a fan favorite. He's going to be bringing the crowd, and Leo's so hard to hate. And then Cutter Goche, I think, is that guy that he's going to be all business, but you're going to see a different like character out of him. Like I think he's going to really come out of a shell this next year with points and just his personality and being kind of a locker room guy or a media guy. I think it's going to come out of him this year. So the vibes are they were scary. Like there was definitely some anger going, like pitchforks were out, but then after the conference and everything kind of cooled down, I think it's kind of a put your money where your mouth is, and we'll see how things go with the way they treat the staff and the foundations and all these outreaches that they said they're going to do this year with Quenneville and everything. So I think that's going to be the big thing there. And the last question I really wanted to get to before, I know we're getting close on time. Time flies when you're having fun. Who wins the Stanley Cup first, San Jose or Anaheim?
I mean, I gotta pick the Sharks and their number one prospect pool. Yeah, I think so. I think the Sharks. I think they are going to like they have so many pieces and so many top end guys. You know, where like I mean, they're going to be able to throw out like just a ridiculous amount of number one picks. Like last year at the rookie tournament, they iced an entire like lineup or not, or an entire like on the ice, they had just all number one picks out there, like all three forwards, both defensemen, the goalie, like all number one picks out there at one time. So, like I just think the talent in the prospect pool is just so ridiculous. And even if they trade those, as you expect to kind of trade those to acquire stars that can help you now, like I believe in Celebrini. I just think that kid, I think he's going to be one of the like top 5 best players in the league at some point. And I believe in that kid so much. Like he is a franchise altering player. And I think he's going to just physically drag the Sharks to a Stanley Cup at some point.
That's as long as California can bring one back eventually. I think the Ducks will have it first, but you know, maybe that's bias. Who out of this year for the regular season series between us, what's your over under on who's winning and how many games?
Is
out
it
of the
3 or
4?
4 games are they playing?
I
They're
believe
playing
we
4.
play 4, yeah.
I'll say the Sharks go. Actually, no, I think the Ducks go. Ducks will probably go 2-1-1.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. It'll be very close. And we saw it last year. Like these teams played very close last year. But yeah, I think I think it'll be close. So which is all we're just asking for competitive hockey. Let's just play
Exactly.
500 hockey in San Jose. That's what we're asking for. Just play 500 hockey.
Well, that's like someone was asking me about the I think I was talking to Eddie about it and just the overall rivalry between the Kings and the Ducks. And I was like, honestly, I see a little more rivalry out of the Sharks and Ducks when they
Right now,
play
yeah.
than the Kings. Like, especially on the ice. It just seems like it's been very chippy for the last 10 years, I would say. Like
Frankfurt, Toronto. I'm still not a fan for Toronto this last year. Taking out Mook Madulin like that. And especially because like the Kings have been like the big brother lately, right? Especially like the Kings have embarrassed the Sharks a couple times recently, and they're just like they're the big brother. They've got like they just shut you down defensively, and they make it boring. Like we're the little brothers trying to figure out the hierarchy right now over here. We're coming for the Kings soon though. So.
absolutely. And we're the middle sibling in there just fighting.
We're just fighting, trying to figure it out. So yep.
Well, thanks again so much, JD, for joining me and breaking down some Pacific hockey. And I'm excited for the little rookie tournament and some Ducks and Sharks action. And hopefully both teams can take a step forward. Obviously, we want the Ducks to take a bigger one, but hopefully something good comes out of this year.
I mean, the Sharks getting another top 3 pick in next year's draft is just like, would be a little ridiculous. So, but we'll see. We'll see. A long way to go before we start bringing out the tank commander again. But I just want, like I said, 500 hockey. Let's just shoot for 500 hockey this year, baby.
Heck yeah. It's a little bit of balance, a little bit of competition, and we'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
And to all of you listening, thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast and Locked On Sharks. There is no offseason, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter most with the local coverage you have from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. JD, where can the fans find you on social?
Of course, you can find Locked On Sharks wherever you're listening to this podcast. Watch on YouTube as well. I just had William Eklund on the show recently.
Woo!
Really fun interview. 4th time makes his annual appearance.
Nice.
I don't know why he keeps coming back. Of course, you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at my fry hole. Find Locked On Sharks Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Locked On Sharks as well. So thanks, Kyle. This was fun.
Thank you. No, it was great. We'll have to do it as we get closer to the season. And obviously during the season, maybe, hash some tears out after a game or two.
All right. Sounds good, buddy.
And again, I'm Kyle Carr. He is JD Young. As always, be good out there.